you're in A school, you're learning all this sonar stuff.
Yeah.
Is it meeting your level of excitement where when you were reading about it, you're like, yo, this is kind of fucking dope. Like this, like
yeah, honestly,
you're going to be an asset to the Navy.
Yeah.
Doing anti-submarine,
Right.
like all this shit. Like, so
Right.
you're pretty hype about it?
Yeah, and everybody, your instructors are talking like, oh, I just got back from Japan. We were following these Chinese subs around. That shit was cool. I was eating ramen in Japan. I'm like, fuck yes, give me some of that. You know? That's what I want. I want to be in Southeast Asia, fucking chasing Chinese submarines around. So yeah, it sounded cool. And then honestly, I look back on like school. It's right over there in Point Loma.
Yeah.
And it's like a really fond point in my short Navy career so far, right?
Yeah.
It's very chill base, super quiet. It's literally all sonar techs and minemen. And like the only thing that sucked about it was being 26 years old and showing up and them being like, like if you want to leave base, you have to be in uniform. Like we don't trust you. Like liberty restriction type rules and shit. And at the time, you're a square, and you're like, oh, man, like, I'm on Phase 3 Liberty. Like, I have to go out of my NSUs. And you don't know that, like, at least nobody plugged me in. Like, yeah, I went out in my fucking NSUs the first time, and then I ran into some sonar techs that were in civies, and they were like, why didn't you bring a backpack? And I was like, because I'm scared to get in trouble? I don't know. Like, I've never done this shit.
Yeah. You're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Even
playing by the rules.
Right, like, even at like 25, 26, you're like, no, I thought those were the rules. Right?
Yeah.
So you come from a family with like no service history, except you said your grandfather, right?
Yeah.
Or very minimal.
Yeah.
So I tell people this story all the time, right? And I'm not ashamed of it. I had no idea how the like military rank structure worked.
Sure.
I had family that served in Marines. My dad was in the Air Force for a while. His stepfather, like, I have a family that's pretty thick in service.
Yeah.
But I had like this like Call of Duty progression of rank system where you start out as private, and as long as you keep Call of Duty leveling up, you just become a 4-star general or something, right?
Sure.
I had no idea that there's enlisted and officer branches.
Yeah.
So were you aware of that, or like, because I learned it in boot camp when I was looking in the little Ricky book, I was like, oh shit, so when you learned that, was it just kind of like, okay, you're happy with that, you're good with it,
the recruiters, and I don't know, there's definitely not the same guys, but the recruiters in Tukwila were ass.
Yeah,
they didn't tell me anything. After I got to boot camp, I heard people were talking, getting all these like study guides for all the shit you had to know.
Oh, yeah.
And like ranks and all this and like
to try to get the like advancement like before you went in.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're prepared at all? I went in blind as a fucking bat. Like,
yeah.
I was like, y'all were getting study guides and like y'all were memorizing shit, and so I was like, oh fuck. But it's not that hard. I mean,
no, yeah, like I mean, so I was working. I had a job and everything before. I was on the 6-month that program myself. Mm-hmm. And, they're like, yeah, come work out with us and come do this and come do that. I was like, yo, at the time I had 2 jobs, I think. And then I quit one like after the summertime and worked the one until I shipped out. Right.
Yeah.
So it was like, I'm working, man. I'm out here trying to get money before I go. So I ain't got time for your PT. I ain't got time. I'm not trying to, I'll learn all that in boot camp.
They never even invited me to stuff like that. I think, I don't know why, but maybe they did realize that I was like older and like I had a full-time job. And I probably would have said the same thing if they would have. I'm like, I'm working today. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm not going to come do push-ups with you. I can do that on my own time. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, the recruiters down there were ass. And I don't know if they thought, maybe they weren't. And they were just like, he's got it. He's older. Like, we don't need to tell him anything. He'll be fine.
So do you wish some of that would have happened? Do you think that would have changed anything? Or is it more like once you get out of A school and you got where you're at?
I don't expect them to be honest. Because if they were honest, I don't think they would recruit anyone a lot. Straight up. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the only people that are people that have family that have served, that get them prepared, so they kind of know what they're expecting. But, man, the people that don't know what's going on, it's not like anybody's telling you.
Yeah, well, even at that.
Nobody's talking about duty when you're at fucking the recruiting office, right?
Yeah, the worst of it. Gary, what's up, Gary? My boy Gary just joined us in the chat. Mm-hmm. So, all right, so you're at A school. you're in Point Loma, you're going out in your NSUs, you're looking like a nerd.
Yeah.
Right? All that good stuff. You're hearing all these cool stories, some sea stories, all this cool shit.
Yeah.
Your guys' A school's pretty long, right? I mean,
it was. I was almost at school for like a full year.
Okay.
I was there for like 9 months or something.
Okay. So now you get your orders.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, you're going to.
Yeah. So the last class, they give everybody their orders in class, right? And it's not like I had heard rumors like, oh, top of the class gets their pick of orders.
Mm-hmm.
There was none of that shit. It doesn't matter what score you got, you're getting what you get. So in my class, it was like 20 people in my class, my graduating class. I think like 5 or so went to ships with sonar. The rest were LCS and aircraft carriers. And the instructors literally laughed at us. They were like, "Oh, you're going to fucking LCS? Nice, loser! Like, go have fun." And I'm like, "What do you mean? It's in San Diego. Like, that's cool."
Yeah.
And that was the thing too. When we were getting ready, I was like, "Man, I wanted like Spain. Obviously, they're not gonna." Everybody was saying like, "Yeah, these are the places you could potentially go," but they're not gonna send a first-term sailor overseas. Yeah, and it was pretty rare, honestly. I only heard of like 2 people the whole time I was at school, like going to Japan. And I didn't hear of a single person graduating school and going to a place like Spain.
Yeah.
It was pretty much if you got overseas, you got Japan, at least from my experience. I would have been down for it though. You know, I was like, fuck it. My whole plan was always just to do my first contract anyway about it.
So that was your plan straight up from the beginning. It's like you're going to do that 4 years, get the benefits.
I just wanted the benefits.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted a bridge to another chapter, you know, like a opportunity.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, let's go crazy. Give me orders to Japan. You know, I'm down for it. I'll be in 4 years. I want to experience 4 or 5 years. I want to experience as much as I can. But yeah, I don't know. It could have been worse, I guess. I don't know. You hear horror stories about Norfolk, and I don't know. The only time people talk about that is just like, yeah, you have to be like way squared away all the time, and there's a bunch of traffic.
Yeah,
it's just like, it just sounds like shit that. It just seems like West Coast is very more relaxed.
So that's something I don't know who I was talking to more recently about that. Like Norfolk, that used to be. I think like the thing, right, is like it's close to DC. It's super squared away, super anal.
Right.
It's always Chiefs fucking correcting you. Maybe it still is. Right. But I think with the generation of sailor today, the youth, I think across the board, a lot of it's going to shit. Like it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what base you're on. You're catching sailors with headphones in their fucking ears in uniform, fucking bebopping down the fucking street. You know what I mean? Like there's fucked up shit no matter where you look and how you cut it.
Yeah.
I think just Norfolk. I was never stationed there. Kind of. I did like 3 months there total, maybe. After I left my first shore duty, and I went to a USNS, and it was like home ported out of Earl, New Jersey, but actually ported out of Norfolk. Right. Okay. So I spent some time there before we deployed, like 2 months, pulled back in after deployment and spent like another 2 months there. Something like that. And I wasn't a fan of it. You know, it's South enough for me to not be a fan of the South. Right. A lot of Southern things still going on there in Norfolk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like going into the barbershop to get a haircut and people looking at me like I'm in the wrong barbershop.
Right.
I was like, no, I kind of need someone like you to cut my hair because I want a good haircut. You know what I mean? And just weird shit like that. And so I was never a fan. The traffic, there's horror stories about it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I've spent Hawaii and San Diego, but some of that it's so. But so you don't get Japan, you get LCS. Yeah. Instructors are like, hot sucks to suck.
Yeah.
And then you show up at pre-com.
Yeah.
And
the first thing I do when I'm like going to, so when I checked in, we weren't even in that new building. We were in the old building. We were in building, I think it was 55.
55, yeah.
We were in building 55. So like, I think legit when I checked in, Barbosa had gotten there like a month before me, and he was like my sponsor.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. So Barbosa is like showing me around, like going through the fucking check-in sheet. Half the people aren't even there on the check-in sheet. It's still somehow baffling to me how much at this point, I'm not surprised by it anymore, but it's like, oh my gosh, we're like, it's the military. Isn't this shit supposed to be squared away? Like, where are these people? Like, they're not where they're supposed to be. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah. So a lot of times people think like, oh, am I supposed to be marching somewhere? Right? Like, I don't know if that's what you're thinking, but I know I've had sailors tell me like they thought the military was going to be more military.
Yeah.
So that was kind of going through your mind too?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like super squared away. And I mean, some people that's important to them. And then some other people are like, I'm doing my job. Fuck you. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
You know? Which I get, especially like I could see with the schedule we're working now, if I was a person that has been doing that for a long time, yeah, I'd get grinded down for sure. And I probably would turn into that person. So maybe. But yeah, I don't know. It was just surprising. It was surprising to like show up and like it's a struggle to get shit done. I don't know. I never imagined how disorganized and like inefficient some of the stuff would be.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't know where that stems from. I have my theories where it stems from, but I don't know if it's any one thing for sure. You know, it's never one thing.
No.